Good morning, my friend. I want to save our, um, here I am, I'm so glad for the end of the call today. And what I wanted to share with you is that I often just wait to see if there's an image or, some kind of something that comes about what to share with you because having shared loop of awareness for 5 years now, you might think, well, we've just come to the end of what we can explore. But I find that as I'm exploring both the loop of awareness and love scoops, I wanted to focus a little bit more on love scoops today, that I keep finding more dimensions of it and more dimensions of how I can share it in my own life and with others. And so the image that was coming to me last night was way back in the day when I was a beginning dance movement therapist. I used a lot of different props. And one of my favorite that I found at an army surplus store was, excuse me, was a silk parachute, this giant silk parachute. And I would toss it out into a group and we would let it settle over all of us like we were making our own little tent, our own little, bubble. And I was thinking of, as you think of the space around you, what I'd like you to do is to imagine that there's this big silk parachute. This one was in sort of that kind of green that I've made sure that I don't have anywhere in my life. That kind of green that you go, this must have been from surplus from, the 1800s. But in any case, whatever color, in fact, I'd like you to think of what color do you find. I have a big selection of them in my shirt, if you can't think of colors. What color does, when you think of it and when your eyes look at it and when you take it in, what color gives you the most sense of both uplifting, but also a sense of safety? So I'd like you to just let that come to you. What color? And then I'd like you to imagine that you've tossed up this parachute of this wonderful color and it's settling around you, and surrounding you with love. So that I'd like you to use your hands to toss it up, and then I'd like you to let yourself wrap it around you, and then just enjoy being there for a moment in the midst of love, in the midst of safety. And even when I do that, just as I'm imagining it, I feel my body settling. I feel my breath slows down a little bit. Oh, and I love the way that Marion is demonstrating with props. So props are always very helpful. So imagining, or if you have a blanket, like sometimes you just want to, go under your blanket and, make the world go away. So what if you could go under a parachute, under a blanket? That's a blanket of love, and you're just there in it. So when you toss it over yourself this time and you're giving yourself a love scoop, let your body just respond to settling into love, having that love around you, and notice what opens up for you. And what I really like is I can do this anytime. I can give myself just a little parachute, the freshness of the air, and also the sense that I am surrounded by love. Because I think when we get scared, we also get much more two-dimensional. And so I'd like you to just notice any place in you that feels more two-dimensional and let yourself just give a little bit more. You could do there's also a swimming scoop. So you can bring it out and around and give it to your back. Let the parachute settle around you like a shawl. Let it be over you so that you just play peekaboo with life. So it's like, do I want to be here? Nope, I'm going back under. So that you have that ability to open and close, because right now there's so much coming at us that, and particularly through your eyes, that I'd love for you to have a way that you can be with yourself that gives you that sense of love where you don't have to close yourself off to the whole world. You're just taking a little break. So I invite you to take a little love break, and you can bring it in from the sides. So now I want to invite you to just let yourself kind of ball it up. And I'd like you to toss it out towards somebody that you know or somebody on the call and let it drape over them. So you're doing a both a love scoop and also a loop of awareness. You're tossing that out, all of that lovely love that you've accumulated, and you're tossing it out and letting it settle on somebody with that sense of, ah, I can be with this. You can be with this for just a moment. You can let yourself take a break. And then bring it back to you. So this is a very flexible parachute. And one of the things I realized too with this particular parachute is that I could stuff it into a very small space and then it would spread out and be very big. So you could also let your parachute, your love scoops be as focused as you want or be as large as you want. And then just take a moment and notice how your body and your energy is experiencing all of that. What I'm noticing is particularly an opening right here at sort of the top of my sternum. There's more of a ah. So actually let yourself just take a couple of breaths that expand on the place in you where you've been feeling the most opening, and letting yourself breathe that on through the rest of your body, anywhere that's needing it. One of the things I notice when I get scared is that I move less. I mean, just in general, but I move my body less. And so if you're finding yourself getting a little hard or dense or tight, this would be a great thing to just wrap your love parachute around you and let your body be with that. And it's kind of a thawing out, because my sense is that a lot of people are either in freeze or in faint or in a freeze faint. So they've gone freeze in and then fainted. So you can also just go, okay, I'm out of here now for the next 5 minutes. This is it. And you can pull it over yourself. You can also pull it over your eyes so that you're just giving yourself that and I think it's either serendipitous or synchronous or just weird that I have an eye infection. I have a little sty, and Gay got what I thought was an eye infection, but it's actually a sinus infection. So he looks like somebody hit him in our mirroring eyes, our matching eyes. So I think, okay, there's one thing to be partnered, there's another thing. So we're, I'm just waiting for one of our cats to get an eye infection, and then I know that we're really, we're all doing it together. So for those of you who are thinking, I'm looking at Katie and there's something a little weird, I just wanted you to know that's what it is. So I'd like to now shift to our card, which I just picked it out, and then I'm realizing, you'll see when you see it, when Michelle pulls it up, that the card also has an eye on it. So I'm consistent, at least I'm consistent in all my, my imagery here. So I'd love for you to let your love parachute go out, let your sense of just going on into the picture, noticing what you notice, and then coming back to you and noticing what kinds of energies, how you're affected by the color and the different shapes, and what that opens up for you as you're letting your attention shift back and forth from the collage to you. And while you're doing that, I want to read you first the sentence on the integrity card. I make clear, direct requests that include a by when instead of airing generalized complaints. Seems very timely for right now. I make clear, direct requests that include a by when instead of airing generalized complaints. So I think that generalized complaints are a way that people connect with others. It's a whole ain't it awful kind of connection. And let's take a look at the question here. How can I make a conscious agreement here? A conscious agreement. So in times of chaos, I find that in my own life, if I'm any of the integrity skills is going to make a difference in creating space and alignment and choice for me, but particularly in the area of requests, because we don't think of requests as part of especially loving relationships, because a lot of people have that whole mind reading thing of you, if you knew if you loved me, you would know what I'm upset about. And so actually learning to make direct requests is an incredible skill that eliminates that sort of something's going on here. I don't know what it is. So let's come on back to the group here. And I want to just talk about that a little bit more because of all of the integrity skills, agreements are an entryway into, how's your structure? So I think of the integrity skills as giving you a sort of an additional skeleton and spine that you can hang yourself on, that rather than having rules and opposition, if you're moving in integrity, it absolutely opens up space, and particularly in the area of requests. So I'd like you to think of something in your life that you've been complaining about. You could be complaining about it to you. You could be complaining about it to friends. So something that you've complained about that hasn't changed. So that's the key. So if you've complained about it in your head, that also doesn't count for actually making a request. And an agreement is different from a commitment. That a commitment is between you and the universe. It's something that you're stepping into fully, something you want to open up to, or something that you want to shift. But a request is between you and one or more people. So I'd like you to think about a complaint that you've had that involves one or more people that hasn't changed. And I'd like you to let yourself play with your loop of awareness, your love scoops, while you're thinking about, what's a request that I could make here? And I could just on that. The helps also. And so I've found that making a request, the thing that most often gets left out is the by when. So I make a request, and then the other person, they may even take it in and they may intend to do it, but it's going into their own time schedule. It's going into their own, oh yeah, I'll get to it, but I have these other things to do and I'll do it after the blah, blah, blah. So I'd like you to also just in your imagination, what's the request and what's the by when? So it could be something really simple. It could be something much bigger. So really simple is that I request that you put your socks in the hamper by the end of the day. Rather than, and your complaint has been you always, you're tripping over socks, that they're, under the bed and they're, in the kitchen. And so I had this same issue with coffee grounds for many years. And creativity, one of the things that I learned that I also want to gift you with is that creativity is messy. So if if you have a tidy personality, you may be not supporting your full creativity, but messy creativity can also be tidied up and at a certain point. So that can be like if you're, doing some project, I request that you either put that in this part of the house so that you can come back to it, or that you put it away by when. So when you try that on, I'd like you to just notice what might come up for you, the main fear that comes up when you make a request. Could be they're not going to like me anymore. They're not going to want to do it. I'm really a bitch if I'm asking them. It's like, so you might be criticizing yourself. And so I'd like you to let yourself give some love scoops and parachuting love scoops to that area of you that complains and that sort of secretly criticizes and that doesn't shift. and and just imagine what would happen in your life if requests were clear and were responded to. So when agreements are clear, that's one of the most powerful ways to create a space of choice for yourself and for others, because you will then appear to others as a space of choice. I notice when I have some kind of unfinished, there's some fuzzy agreement going on, it actually, the space between me and the other is fuzzy. It's kind of there's a little gritchiness there, or a grit, or it's kind of if you give it a sound, that's for me, that would be the sound would be kind of or it's like so. If you would be willing to focus on this skill for the next week, I think it's going to make a huge difference just in the openness to explore other things, because it's also a little bit of a drag. It's like a burr, like if it's a rock in your shoe. You may try to overlook it, but it is going to affect you and have that feeling. So that's my invitation for you in the alignment realm. And then also, I think that this, over the next, indefinite period of time, focusing on your integrity skills, like whenever there's some kind of an issue or a problem, I use that as an opportunity to see if there are any of the integrity skills that can support me. And it actually doesn't matter. You can pick, I think, any one of the integrity cards, because they are all about being aligned with reality and letting yourself be supported by a strong but flexible structure. So I feel happy to have picked that one out today. And all of that came from the image that just arose to me of the parachute, which I hadn't thought of in years. So the other thing that can happen is you're practicing what we're talking about and what we are doing on a weekly basis, is that you're opening up your intuitive core, because you haven't got grit there. So the practice of integrity and the practice of loop of awareness and love scoops and the fear melters literally opens internal space so that things can arise. Images, creative ideas, somebody that you want to contact that I guarantee you will go, oh my God, I was just thinking of you. Those kinds of true connections that support your aliveness can arise in that open space. And so that, aside from, we could take it into what we might think of as a moral issue, but for me, it's really much more of a being open to life rather than being closed to life. Because as we know, that being closed is the basic fear move. And being open and open to learning is the basic move that makes life beautiful on an ongoing basis, and also makes your beauty available to others. And then you get that nourishment of connection. But when you have that going on, you can't connect with others also. So the benefits of these may not appear in the moment, but I've found that they do appear, and that I can build on those, and I can return to those also as a source of stability and a source of safety. I've noticed in the particularly just in the last period of time, it I my theory is that things are accelerating more, and I think we are. The earth is spinning more rapidly, but I've noticed that things are spinning out now. Like I'll reach for something that falls over, and things are breaking more. And so my sense is that having a place to stand, with that spacious and stable, can really allow you to navigate, all of the turmoil that's going on, so that you are able to fuel yourself with love and presence rather than clutching in fear and complaining, and which, if you need to do it, just go out in the backyard, or put your head in a towel and rant and and then ah, back at it. So you don't have to suppress. I think ranting, stomping and ranting. I see a couple of you are at the beach. That's a really great place to rant and stomp and throw things, and yes, throw things away. And then the ocean can just absorb them and turn them into plankton and good stuff. So I also want to share with you the Presence Connect play. And I'm really loving how all of these can go together, that you have all of these different, like, tent poles that can sustain you in different ways in your life. So Presence Connect play is something that I really encourage you to use. So presence today is, notice and follow what your body wants to do. Boy, do we ever give ourselves that permission? First of all, notice your body and then follow what your body wants to do. I mean, your body wants something. What? It's not just my head that's always wanting something. So just take a moment and just notice and follow what your body wants to do. Like, I'm getting my pelvis just wants to do this sort of little forward and backward thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So I mean, I have no idea what that's about. My head might get real busy and going, is there something wrong with your pelvis? But it's really just following what your body wants to do. And I find when I do that, my body speaks to me much more clearly and in a friendly way. And also when I'm doing my loop of awareness and I'm tuning into somebody else and I come back to me, my body may want to do something. And I often find when people are listening, they listen in a way it's like they're taking a test in school, so letting themselves get really stiff and serious. So I invite you to use this one, particularly when you're listening to someone where you really want to have a sense of the connection, is that when you loop out and you loop back to you, let your body just do what it wants to do, because that opens then, that deepens your listening. So connect, oh, these are all great. So connect is appreciate everyone as a work of art. So instead of, as you're doing your loop of awareness, especially with other people on the call here, I'd like you to actually see others as a unique and evolving work of art. That's one of my favorite ways to use my attention, because very often, and especially in a fear state, we see others as enemies. And even though we may not realize it because it's not happening in our prefrontal cortex, seeing others as enemies keeps you from connecting. So you can make that shift in your perception and choose to see others as evolving works of art. And notice how that changes your perception, and also your experience of being with others. So that is one of my favorite intentions. And I often do it if I'm doing something like I'm giving a presentation, which could be really scary. One of the first things that I do is intend to see the people out there as evolving works of art. So when I'm looping, I'm appreciating the uniqueness and all of the wonderful evolving works of art that are there. And then we're weaving that co-creation, and it absolutely changes the space. So if you've got meetings that you're going to this week, or like you have some important decision to make, I really invite you to intend and then practice seeing the other as an evolving work of art, and then coming back to you and seeing yourself as an evolving work of art, because we often leave ourselves out of that equation. And notice the kind of magic that's going to create for you. And then play, turn words into sound. And this is especially wonderful when you're in a kerfuffle with someone, because we know how to use our words to poke and injure others. And so when you turn your words into sounds, if you were about to complain and you turn your words into like, blah, 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 you've cleared space in you. You haven't said that thing that triggers the other person. And then you can open up to more possibilities of different perception and more choices. So, lots of opportunities for you this week. So, you may want to just come back and listen to this because we covered a lot of territory. And it's going to give you a lot of things to choose from in supporting yourself this week. So, but for to end, let's do our here I am. I just love it because you're taking up lots of space. Here I am, and I'm so glad. So a big old parachute love scoop. I'm so glad. And then here I am, and I'm so glad. And here we are, and I'm so glad. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being in the space. And much love to you all. Until next time. Bye now.